The slip of the tongue, the human soldier stood at the edge of the training ground, his boots covered in dust. His name was Daniel, a young recruit who had recently been assigned to work alongside the alien warriors. The atmosphere was tense, because these warriors were not just any fighters. They were feared across the galaxy, known for their strength, their discipline, and their cold, merciless nature. Among them stood one warrior who was different. She was tall, strong, and carried herself like a queen on the battlefield. Her silver armor shone under the artificial lights. Her black hair was tied tightly behind her head, and her glowing golden eyes scanned everything with sharp focus. Her name was Kayla, and most humans avoided even looking at her for too long. She had defeated enemies twice her size and never showed weakness. Daniel had never spoken to her directly before. He usually kept his distance, like everyone else. But today, during a joint training exercise, fate played a trick on him. The warriors had just finished a sparring round, and Kayla had defeated her opponent with such speed and grace that Daniel's jaw had dropped without thinking, without stopping himself. The words slipped out of his mouth. Cute. The word hung in the air like a spark in dry grass. For a second, no one reacted. The other warriors froze, confused by the strange human word, but Kayla's head turned sharply toward Daniel. Her golden eyes locked onto him, and the silence became heavy. Daniel's face went pale. He realized what he had just said. To call an alien warrior cute was not just unusual, it was dangerous. These beings valued honor, power, and fear. They had no place for soft words or human compliments. His heart began to race. His comrades, standing nearby, whispered nervously. One of them muttered, "Oh no, he's dead." Kayla did not move for a moment, her expression unreadable. Everyone expected her to roar, to attack, or to challenge him in front of the entire squad. Instead, something completely unexpected happened. Her cheeks, normally pale and firm, suddenly turned bright red. A flush, glowing under her golden skin, spread across her face. She quickly looked away. As if embarrassed, her lips parted, but no words came out. The mighty warrior who had never hesitated to strike an enemy was now frozen. Her armor clinked as she shifted uncomfortably. The other aliens noticed immediately. Some exchanged looks of shock. Others started whispering to each other in their language. A ripple of confusion spread through the crowd. No one had ever seen Kayla react like this. Daniel stood rooted to the ground, his throat dry. His mind screamed at him to apologize, but the word refused to leave his mouth. He had seen many battles, faced blasters and blades, but nothing had terrified him as much as that single mistake. Kayla finally spoke, but her voice was softer than anyone expected. "What did you say?" Daniel swallowed hard. He wanted to disappear, but under her intense gaze, there was no escape. I didn't mean anything. It just slipped," he stammered. Her eyes narrowed, but the redness on her cheeks only deepened. The mighty alien warrior was blushing. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stop. Then, slowly, she turned away. "Strange human," she muttered, her voice low but clear enough for him to hear. The squad broke into murmurs. Some laughed nervously. Others looked horrified. The commander barked an order to continue the training. But the atmosphere had completely changed. Every eye was now on Daniel and Kayla. Daniel felt his legs shaking. He had no idea what was worst. The fact that he might have insulted a dangerous alien warrior, or the fact that she hadn't reacted violently. Her blush unsettled him even more, because it meant something he did not understand. As the session ended, his comrades pulled him aside. One of them whispered urgently, "Are you insane? You called her cute. Do you even know what that means to them?" Daniel shook his head, still trying to process what had just happened. "I didn't mean to. It just came out," another soldier hissed. "You don't just slip with someone like her. She could have cut you down on the spot. Daniel glanced back across the training ground. Kayla was standing with her squad, but she kept her head slightly turned, avoiding his gaze, her glowing blush still faint on her cheeks. She looked powerful, but also strangely human. The human soldier felt his chest tighten. He had no idea why she reacted the way she did. But he knew one thing for certain. This small mistake was not going to disappear. In fact, it might have just started something far bigger than he could imagine. As the lights dimmed in the training hall, Daniel whispered to himself, "What have I done?" The warrior's confusion. Kayla walked out of the training hall with steady steps. But inside her heart was not steady at all. She had faced monsters, assassins, and brutal wars. But nothing had shaken her like one simple human word. Cute. The sound of it still echoed in her mind. It was a strange word, soft and almost meaningless. Yet, when the human Daniel had spoken it, her entire body reacted in a way she could not control. Her cheeks had burned, her chest had tightened, and for the first time in her life, she had wanted to run instead of fight. Her squad tried not to stare, but Kayla knew they had noticed. Warriors whispered when they thought she could not hear. Some smirked, others looked at her with suspicion. She clenched her fists, angry at herself. Why am I reacting like this? Why do I feel weak? Daniel, on the other side, sat in silence with his team. He could feel every eye on him. His comrades gave him nervous looks. Some shook their heads in disbelief. One finally spoke. "You have no idea what you've done, do you?" Daniel sighed. "I just said it by mistake. I didn't mean mistake or not." The soldier cut him off. "You don't call an alien warrior something like that. Their honor is everything. One wrong word can start a blood duel." Daniel lowered his gaze, but deep inside, he kept remembering her face, not angry, not violent, but embarrassed. It didn't fit with the image of the cold warrior everyone feared. It made him wonder if there was something hidden beneath her. Armor that no one else had seen before. Meanwhile, Kayla retreated to her private chamber. She removed her armor piece by piece, her hands trembling slightly. She stared into the mirror. Her golden eyes looked fierce as always, but her face still carried a faint redness. She touched her cheek as if trying to erase the memory. What does that word mean? She whispered to herself. Her people did not have such terms. They had words for strong, brave, honorable, even deadly, but nothing for cute. The concept was alien, and yet it had struck her harder than any blade. She lay on her bed, but could not sleep. Instead, her thoughts drifted back to the human's eyes. He had not spoken the word with mockery or insult. His voice had been genuine. His expression had been almost admiring. The idea unsettled her. Could it be that he saw something in her that she did not see in herself? The next morning, Kayla entered the mess hall, where warriors and humans were eating together. She walked with her usual strong posture, but her mind was restless. She noticed Daniel sitting at the far end, trying to avoid her gaze. His shoulders stiffened the moment she stepped in. Their eyes met for a brief second. Daniel quickly looked down at his food, but Kayla's heart gave a strange flutter. She clenched her jaw and forced herself to walk past him, yet the heat in her cheeks betrayed her again. The other warriors noticed. They began to whisper louder this time. One of them chuckled. The mighty Kayla, shaken by a single human word. Another muttered, "Maybe she is not as strong as we thought." Kayla slammed her tray on the table, silencing them instantly. Her glare was sharp enough to cut steel. But inside, she was not angry at them. She was angry at herself. Her honor was slipping, and she had no idea why. Later that day, her commander approached her. His tone was cold. "Kayla, your discipline is questioned. Some believe you have been weakened. If you cannot control your reaction, you may be challenged." Kayla bowed her head. "Understood, Commander." But as she walked away, her thoughts were not on her honor. They were on the human who had caused all this. Why had his simple word carried more power than any enemy blade? Daniel, too, could not shake it from his mind. He tried to focus on drills, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw her blushing face. Something about it made him curious. It was as if he had unlocked a hidden side of her, a side she never allowed anyone else to see that night while the camp grew quiet. Kayla found herself standing outside Daniel's quarters. She told herself she had come to confront him, to demand the meaning of the word. But when the door opened and Daniel looked at her with surprise, her mind went blank. She stood there, silent, her cheeks heating again. Finally, she managed to speak, her voice low and uncertain. Human. Tell me, what does cute mean? Daniel blinked. He hadn't expected this. He scratched his head, then gave a nervous laugh. It's hard to explain. It's not an insult. It's something we say when we find someone special, kind of attractive, but in a soft, good way. Kayla's golden eyes widened, her breath caught in her throat. For a warrior who had only been praised for strength and fear, this was something entirely new. She turned quickly, muttering, "Strange human," and walked away before he could see her blush again. But as she left, Daniel realized one thing: this was not over. In fact, it was just beginning. Unwanted attention. The camp was alive with whispers. Stories moved faster than the wind. What had happened in the training hall was no longer a secret. Almost every alien warrior had heard that the human soldier had dared to call Kayla something strange, and that she had blushed instead of striking him down. For warriors who built their lives on discipline and pride, this was shocking. Some laughed quietly, some were curious, others were jealous. But one thing was clear: Kayla was now under a different kind of attention. Kayla herself tried to ignore it. She kept her routine strict, training harder, sparring longer, refusing to show weakness. Yet, wherever she went, eyes followed her, and she could hear their voices behind her back. "She has gone soft," one warrior whispered. "The human has bewitched her," another sneered. "If she cannot control herself, she should step down," someone muttered. Kayla's fists tightened every time she wanted to silence them with her blade, but she knew that would only prove them right. She could not allow her emotions to take control. And yet, no matter how much she tried, the memory of that human word still made her cheeks burn. Daniel noticed the change too. He could feel the stares whenever he walked past alien soldiers. Some gave him looks filled with anger, others with mockery. He felt like a spark had landed on dry leaves, and the fire was about to spread. One evening, as the soldiers gathered around the fire pits, a group of alien warriors began talking loudly. Their voices carried across the camp, and Daniel could not ignore them. "It is a disgrace," one said. Slamming his fist on the table, a warrior of her rank reduced to blushing like a hatchling. Another laughed. "Perhaps the human has found her weakness. Perhaps we should test it." Daniel's jaw tightened. He wanted to speak up, but he knew better. A single wrong word could start a fight he couldn't win. Still, his silence did not stop the problem. Kayla overheard too. She stood up suddenly, her golden eyes burning like fire. "Enough," she growled. "Say one more word, and I will make you eat it." The camp fell silent, but the damage was done. The whispers had already taken root. And soon, rumors began spreading beyond their squad. The commander noticed the tension. During a meeting, he looked at Kayla with sharp eyes. "You are drawing too much attention," he said. "A warrior's honor cannot be questioned. If you cannot silence the rumors, then someone else will." Kayla bowed her head, hiding the storm inside her. She knew what he meant. Someone would challenge her to prove she had not been weakened. And in their culture, such challenges ended only in blood. That night, Daniel sat in his tent, restless. He could hear faint noises outside, whispers again. This time, they were about him. "The human is dangerous," a voice said. "He must be trying to humiliate her," another added. "Maybe he wants control over her." Daniel buried his face in his hands. He had never intended this. All he had done was let one word slip. How could one word cause so much chaos? The next morning, things grew worse. As Daniel walked past the training ground, one of the alien warriors suddenly blocked his way. His towering figure cast a long shadow over Daniel. So, the warrior sneered, "You are the one who makes..." Kayla blushed. Daniel froze, unsure how to respond before he could say anything. Kayla appeared, her voice sharp. "Stand down," she ordered. The warrior smirked, protecting him. "How interesting," he turned to the others. "It seems the rumors are true. She is guarding her little human." Laughter rippled through the group. Kayla's face reddened. But not from embarrassment this time. This was anger. With one swift move, she shoved the warrior aside. "Touch him, and you answer to me," she hissed. The laughter stopped, but now the whispers grew louder. Everyone could see it. Now Kayla was defending the human, and in their eyes, that was almost as bad as betrayal. Later that day, Kayla pulled Daniel aside, her voice low, but urgent. "Do you understand what you've done?" Daniel sighed. "I didn't mean to. I swear. I just..." It slipped out. Her eyes locked on his, fierce and troubled. "You don't understand. Words can break warriors here. A blush is seen as weakness. If they believe I am weak, they will challenge me. And if they challenge me, blood will be spilled." Daniel swallowed hard. He felt the weight of her words pressing down on him. He never imagined that something as simple as calling someone cute could endanger lives. Kayla turned away, her voice softer, "And yet, I cannot stop thinking about it." Her cheeks glowed again. Betraying her, she clenched her fists. "This is dangerous, human, for both of us." As she walked away, Daniel realized something. It was no longer just a mistake. It was a storm. A storm that had already begun to pull them both into its center. And somewhere in the shadows of the camp, another warrior whispered to his comrades, "We will make her prove her strength. Or we will strip her of it." The seeds of conflict had been planted, and soon they would grow into something neither human nor alien could ignore. Between battle and emotions, the days after the confrontation grew heavier. Whispers no longer stayed. Whispers, they turned into open talk. Warriors no longer hid their stares. They looked at Kayla with suspicion. Some with mocking smiles, some with cold judgment. Kayla tried to keep her focus. She sparred harder, trained longer, and won every fight with brutal precision. But still, the shadow of that single human word followed her, every swing of her blade. Every step she took, she could feel it. As if her honor had been pierced not by steel, but by sound. Daniel, too, felt the weight wherever he walked. He carried invisible eyes on his back. The humans in his unit kept warning him, "Stay away from her," one said. "You've caused enough trouble." But how could he? Fate seemed to keep pulling him toward her. One evening, Kayla entered the training yard again. Her armor gleamed under the dim light. The crowd of warriors gathered. But instead of watching a spar, it began whispering louder. Then a tall alien stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Kayla," he said, "you have lost your honor." The camp fell silent. The warrior's name was Rokon. A battle-hardened fighter, known for his pride and cruelty. He looked at her with a smirk. "You blush at a human's word? You protect him like a hatchling. Prove to us you are still worthy, or admit you are weak." The crowd muttered in agreement. Daniel stood frozen at the edge. His chest tightened. He knew what this meant. Kayla's eyes burned. She stepped forward. "I have nothing to prove to you," Rokon sneered. "Then you admit it? That you are no longer fit for the title of warrior?" Her blade was in her hand before he even finished. The sound of steel rang out. "I will show you who is unworthy," she hissed. The duel was set, but this was no ordinary spar. This was a trial of honor. A fight where reputation, pride, and sometimes even life could be lost. Daniel's heart pounded as he watched. He wanted to shout, to tell them to stop, but he knew it was useless. This was their way, their law, before the fight began. The commander looked at Daniel, his cold eyes pierced him. "You will stand as her second." Daniel blinked her. "What?" The commander repeated, "In our trials, every warrior must have a second. A witness to their honor. You are the cause of this storm, human. You will see it through." Daniel felt his knees weaken. He wasn't trained for alien customs. He didn't understand their laws, but he could not refuse. All he could do was stand at Kayla's side, his heart racing. Kayla glanced at him briefly. Her golden eyes softened for just a second. "Do not speak," she whispered. "Just watch." The fight began. Roken struck like a beast, his blade clashing against Kayla's with brutal force. Sparks flew in the night air. Each strike was heavy, filled with rage and pride. Kayla moved like fire, fast and precise. But something was different. Her mind was not only on her blade. Every time Daniel's eyes followed her, she felt a strange warmth inside her chest. It distracted her, but also pushed her harder. Rokan roared, "You are weak." Blushing for a human. His blade nearly struck her shoulder, but she twisted away. Her teeth clenched. From the sidelines, Daniel couldn't hold back. "You can do this, Kayla. You're amazing. You're cute." The crowd gasped. The word echoed across the yard. Daniel froze, realizing too late what he had shouted. But Kayla's heart exploded in fire. Her face burned red again. But instead of freezing, her strength doubled. Her strikes grew sharper, faster. Her movements turned fierce, like a storm. Rokan stumbled under her relentless blows. His smirk faded as her blade pressed him back, step by step. With one final strike, she disarmed him, sending his weapon crashing to the ground. Her blade hovered at his throat. Silence filled the camp. Every warrior stared, stunned. Kayla's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, her cheeks still glowing. Red, not from weakness, but from something far more powerful. Roken lowered his head, defeated. The trial is yours, he muttered. Kayla sheathed her blade, her eyes scanning the crowd. "Weak?" she growled. "Does this look weak to you?" The warriors lowered their heads. None dared to answer. But Daniel saw something more. Behind her fierce expression, he saw her trembling slightly. Not from exhaustion, but from the storm of emotions inside her. As the crowd dispersed, Kayla walked past him, her voice barely a whisper. "Do not ever say that word in front of them again." She paused, her cheeks glowing even brighter. "But, if you must, say it only to me." Daniel stood frozen, his heart racing. He had no idea what he had just stepped into, but he knew one thing: this was no longer just about honor. This was no longer just about honor. This was about something deeper. Something neither of them fully understood, and in the shadows, unseen, more eyes watched them. Whispers carried into the night. The human has changed her. This bond will bring either strength or destruction. The line between battle and emotions had blurred, and now nothing would ever be the same again. The trial of honor. The arena was vast, carved from stone and metal, lit by glowing torches that flickered against the cold walls. This was no ordinary place for training. It was sacred ground, where warriors proved their worth before their people. To fight here meant your honor was on the line, and every eye would judge the outcome. Kayla stood tall at the center, her silver armor shining under the firelight, her golden eyes fixed on her opponent. Her grip on the blade was steady, but inside her chest, her heart beat with a strange mixture of fury and something softer she could not name. Daniel stood at her side. Though not inside the ring, he was her second. Though he barely understood what that meant, his palms were sweaty, his heart pounded harder than it ever had in battle. All he knew was that Kayla was risking everything, and somehow he had been pulled into the storm, the crowd of alien. Warriors filled the arena stands. Their voices rose in chants and whispers. Some shouted Kayla's name, others mocked her, but all of them waited to see if she would prove herself worthy, or fall in disgrace. Across from her stood another challenger, a warrior named Vainer. His frame was huge, his blade heavier than Kayla's entire body. He sneered, his voice loud so all could hear. The mighty Kayla, brought low by a human's word. Tonight, I will show the truth. She is unfit to lead, unfit to fight, unfit to stand among us. The crowd roared, half in support, half in scorn. Daniel clenched his fists. Every insult burned his chest. He wanted to shout back, but Kayla raised one hand. Silencing him before he could speak, she stepped forward, her voice ringing across the arena. Words are easy. Vainer, prove your strength with steel. The gong sounded, the trial had begun. Vainer charged first, his blade slashing downward with brutal force. The ground shook as Kayla blocked it. Sparks flew, her arms trembled under the weight, but she did not yield. With a sharp twist, she forced him back and countered with lightning speed. The crowd gasped as the two warriors clashed again and again. Steel rang against steel, each strike echoed like thunder. Kayla's movements were precise, but Vainer's strength was overwhelming. Daniel watched with wide eyes, his heart raced with every strike. He wanted to help, but he knew he couldn't. All he could do was shout encouragement. His voice carried across the arena. Come on, Kayla. You're stronger than him. Vainer laughed mid-fight. Stronger. She is already weakened. Look at her blush when her human squeaks. The crowd burst into cruel laughter. Kayla's cheeks flared red. For a moment, her movements faltered. The insult cut deeper than any blade. Daniel felt panic rise in his chest. He didn't think, he just shouted. Don't listen to him. You're not weak, Kayla. You're beautiful and you're cute. The word echoed again, louder this time. The laughter stopped. All eyes turned toward the human who dared to say it. Kayla froze for only half a heartbeat, her face blazing red, but then something inside her shifted. Instead of weakness, the warmth in her chest became fire. Her blade flashed with new power. Her strikes became faster, sharper. Her golden eyes burned like molten light. Vainer staggered as she pushed him back, her fury and strength unstoppable. With one swift strike, she disarmed him, his massive blade flying across the arena. The next strike knocked him to his knees. Her blade pressed against his throat. The arena went silent. Everyone held their breath. Kayla's chest heaved with exhaustion, but her eyes never wavered. Her voice cut through the stillness. Weak. No. This is strength. Vainer lowered his head, defeated. The trial is yours. The gong struck again, declaring her victory. The crowd erupted not with laughter this time, but with awe and shock. Some cheered, others whispered. But no one could deny what they had seen. Kayla turned slowly, her gaze locking on Daniel. Her cheeks still burned red, not from shame, but from something new. She sheathed her blade, then walked past him, leaning close enough for only him to hear. Foolish human. Stop saying that word in front of them. You don't understand what it does to me. Daniel blinked, his chest tightening. Then why don't you tell me? Her golden eyes softened, her blush deepening. She turned away quickly, hiding her face. Not yet, she whispered. As the crowd dispersed, the whispers began again. But they were different this time. Some spoke of Kayla's unstoppable strength. Some spoke of the human's strange power over her. And some whispered something far more dangerous. If a single human word can change a warrior, Then perhaps humans are not as weak as we thought. In the shadows, Kayla walked alone, her heart unsettled. She had defended her honor, but inside, she knew the truth. Her strength tonight had not come from pride alone. It had come from him, from the strange warmth his words gave her, and Daniel, standing in the emptying arena, realized the same thing. He had crossed a line that could never be erased. A dangerous confession. The arena was empty now. The echoes of clashing blades had faded. But Kella's heart still raced as if the fight had never ended. She had won. She had defended her honor. Yet the victory did not feel clean. For every strike she had landed, one thought had burned in her chest, the human's words. She walked through the corridors of stone, her armor heavy on her shoulders. Her people had cheered her name, but all she could hear was his voice, cute. The word had wrapped around her like a chain she could not break. She entered her quarters, closing the door with a sharp clang. She stared into the mirror. Her golden eyes reflected back at her, fierce and unyielding. Yet her face betrayed her. Her cheeks were still flushed. Her lips trembled with unspoken questions. "What have you done to me, human?" she whispered, her fists tightened at her sides. "I am Kayla, warrior of the Iron Legion. I do not blush, I do not falter." Yet she had. And all because of one clumsy soldier who did not even know the weight of his words. Meanwhile, Daniel sat outside in the camp, the firelight flickering on his face. His comrades spoke quietly behind him. Some were impressed, some were afraid, others were simply confused. But Daniel barely heard them. His mind replayed the duel again and again. Kella's strikes, her blazing eyes, and finally, the way she had looked at him when she won. He rubbed his hands together nervously. "What is happening?" he muttered to himself. He had never meant for things to go this far. Yet somehow, his careless word had tied him to the fiercest warrior among them. And she hadn't killed him for its instead. She had fought harder, as if the word gave her strength. Later that night, when the camp had grown quiet, a shadow appeared outside his tent. Daniel looked up, and his breath caught. Kayla stood there, tall and silent, her armor set aside. Only her simple warrior's garb remaining. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the dark. For a long moment, neither spoke. The air between them was heavy. Finally, Kayla broke the silence, her voice low, human. "I need to understand, Daniel." Rose slowly. Understand what? She stepped closer, her gaze sharp yet uncertain. "That word," she said, almost spitting it. "Cute. What does it mean? What power does it hold? Why does it do this to me?" Her hand brushed her own cheek as if ashamed. Daniel blinked. He hadn't expected this. He scratched his head nervously. "It's not power. It's just a word. In my culture, when someone is pleasant or beautiful in a softer way, we say cute. It's a compliment, not an insult." Kayla froze, her golden eyes widened. Her breath quickened. "You mean? You find me attractive?" Daniel hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Yes, in a way, but not just attractive. You're strong, fierce, and dangerous, but also human words don't fit you well. I couldn't help saying it." For a moment, Kayla felt as if the ground shifted beneath her. No one had ever spoken to her like that. All her life, she had been praised for strength, feared for her victories, respected for her discipline, but never had anyone looked at her and seen more. Her cheeks flamed again. She turned away, unable to face him. Her voice trembled. "Do you realize what this means? If others hear this, if they believe I have feelings for you, they will not forgive it. They will see it as betrayal, a warrior tied to a human. It will destroy my honor." Daniel stepped closer, his voice soft but steady. "Then, why are you here?" Kayla froze, her heart thundered. She hadn't meant to come. She had told herself she only wanted to demand answers. Yet here she was, standing in front of him. Her walls cracking, her breath unsteady. "I don't know," she whispered. Her fists clenched. "I don't know why your words burn me, why they make me weak and strong at the same time." Daniel's chest tightened. He could see the battle inside her, the war between duty and something deeper. He wanted to reach out, but he stopped himself, afraid of crossing the line. Kayla turned sharply, her golden eyes locking on his. "Human. If you ever speak that word to me again, it must be in private. Never before the others, do you understand? My honor cannot survive it." Daniel nodded slowly. "I understand." Then, after a pause, he added softly, "But Kayla, I meant it." Her breath caught, her body stiffened, and for the briefest moment, she wanted to strike him, to silence the storm inside her. But instead, she whispered back, almost trembling, "Strange human." She stepped back into the shadows, her face burning, her heart unsteady. Before disappearing, she muttered, "This is dangerous for both of us." As Daniel watched her vanish into the night, he realized the truth. This was no longer a misunderstanding. This was something far deeper, something that could shake not just their lives, but the fragile bond between their peoples. And in the darkness beyond the campfires, unseen eyes watched them, plotting. "The human has her heart. We will use this weakness, and when she falls, he will fall with her." The confession had been made, but so had the danger. The camp was restless after the trial of honor. Whispers spread through every corner. Some warriors admired Kayla for her victory, some mocked her blush, and some carried darker thoughts. But all agreed on one thing: the human soldier. Daniel was no longer invisible. He was part of a storm that had just begun. Kayla walked alone through the cold night, her golden eyes scanning the stars above. She had won her honor back, but her heart was unsettled. Each beat reminded her of the human's words. His voice replayed in her head. Soft but powerful. "You're cute." She clenched her fists. Why does this one word have more power over me than any blade? Daniel, meanwhile, sat by the dying campfire, staring into the flames. His comrades had left him alone. Some didn't want to be near him. Some were afraid of what he had stirred. He sighed, whispering to himself, "I didn't mean for any of this, but now I can't take it back." The night stretched on until soft footsteps broke the silence. Daniel looked up and froze. Kayla was standing there, her face shadowed by the moonlight. Her posture was firm as always, but her cheeks glowed faintly. "You should not sit alone," she said, her voice quiet but carrying strength. Daniel gave a nervous laugh. "Most of your people don't want to sit with me, and most of mine are too scared." Her golden eyes studied him for a moment. Then, without another word, she sat beside him. The crackling firelight danced across her face, softening her sharp features. Daniel almost forgot she was the fiercest warrior among them. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence between them was heavy, yet not uncomfortable. Finally, Kayla broke it. "I warned you not to speak that word in front of others, but you spoke it again." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. Embarrassed, "I couldn't help it. I just meant it." Her cheeks deepened in color. She turned her gaze toward the fire, hiding her face. "Strange human," she whispered, but her lips curved, almost like a smile she did not want to show. Daniel hesitated, then asked softly, "Why didn't you stop me? You could have punished me. You could have ignored me, but you didn't." Kayla's chest tightened. The question cut through her walls. She lowered her voice, almost trembling, "Because no one has ever seen me like that, to my people. I am a weapon, a commander, a fighter, but to you, I was something else." Daniel's breath caught. He had never heard her speak so openly. His heart pounded. He wanted to say more, to tell her what he truly felt. But before he could, a shadow passed nearby. Both turned sharply, hands reaching for their weapons. But the figure disappeared into the darkness. Kella's eyes narrowed. "They're watching us," she muttered. Every step, every word. Daniel frowned. "Who?" Kella's gaze hardened. "Warriors who fear me, rivals who hate me. And those who see you as a threat, if they believe I am tied to you. They will strike against you first, to break me." Daniel's chest tightened. He hadn't thought of it that way. "So what do we do?" Kayla stood, her tall frame glowing against the firelight, her voice firm but low. "We do nothing for now. We hide this, whatever this is." Her cheeks flushed again. "If they see it, they will use it against us. But if we keep it secret, maybe it will survive." Daniel rose slowly, meeting her gaze. "And if it doesn't stay a secret?" For a moment, Kayla hesitated. Her golden eyes locked on his, and her voice dropped to a whisper. "Then we fight." Together, the words struck Daniel harder than any blade. He nodded, his heart racing. "Together," he echoed. The fire crackled between them, their shadows merging on the ground. Two figures from different worlds, tied together by one careless word. But far away, in a tent filled with low whispers, a group of warriors gathered, their faces hidden in darkness. One voice hissed, "She has been weakened by the human. This bond is dangerous. If it spreads, others may follow." Another voice added, "We cannot allow this. Humans are not meant to touch the hearts of warriors. If she will not cut him down, then we will." The fire inside their tent dimmed, but the fire in their eyes burned with hatred. A plot was forming, and soon it would strike. Back at the campfire, Kayla stood to leave. She paused only once, her voice softer than Daniel had ever heard. "If you ever call me that again, do it when no one else can hear, and maybe I will not stop you." Her cheeks glowed bright red, and before Daniel could respond, she vanished into the night. Leaving him stunned, he sat back down, his heart racing faster than ever. He whispered, into the empty night, "What have I started?" The stars above glittered silently, watching the fragile bond between a human and an alien warrior. A bond that could either unite them or tear their worlds apart, and somewhere in the shadows, danger waited, sharpening its blade.